everyone. Welcome back. So glad you could join us again for our Grief Healing Telesummit. Top experts share their best holistic healing methods to transform grief into healing and living again. I'm Chelsea Hansen, your host, founder of With Sympathy Gifts and Keepsakes, as well as Global Grace, the World Association of Spiritual Grief Healing. We have a very special guest today, Maggie Chula. And I've had the experience to work with Maggie directly, so she has lots of information, important information that she will be bringing to us today about using the spiritual world to help us in our grief healing, as well as talking about love and acceptance. And to tell you a little bit about Maggie, she's a spiritual counselor, energy healer, and direct channel for the archangels and ascended masters. She's a certified psychic professional, hypnotherapist, as well as trained medical intuitive. Maggie is the creator of Open the Doorway to Your Soul, the Akashic Vibration Process, which is a leadership development and training program for spiritual healing. Welcome, Maggie.
Welcome. Thank you, Chelsea. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. We are happy to have you. Yeah, so you have such a diverse background with so many different things you can do. Can you share with us how you got started in your line of work? And I know a lot of your abilities are natural as well. So, yeah, kind of fill us in because you have an interesting background.
Well, I was born sickly, actually. I was born, my legs were twisted in. I had to have steel shoes and leg braces. And so, as you can imagine, I spent a lot of time on my own in bed. I didn't remember a lot about those days, but my grandmother assured me that she had destroyed all the pictures of me that would share with anyone that I was a cripple. So it was the stigma was there that I was a sickly person, because not only were my bones twisted, but I was always sick. I was always in a state of having some sort of disease no one could diagnose, and they just knew that I should probably be kept away from others. So what happened was, I loved to play with the archangels, with the angels and the masters and all these beautiful beings who would come and play with me in my bed, in my room, in my mind. And they taught me how to heal. They taught me different things that I could do so that I could get my body up and moving. And so what I remember from that is that I had a very strong sense of I wasn't going to be left behind. I wanted to go out and play with people. I wanted to go out and do things. So I really needed to be able to get some of this going on my own. And then I tell people, this is true, that I'm fortunate or unfortunate, depending upon how you think of it, but I have had many near-death experiences. And the first one that I remember, I was 4 years old, and we had just moved into our new home. It was an older home, and we were playing hide and seek. I'll never forget it, because I was wondering why nobody was coming to find me. And I saw my mother. She was being really frantic, and she was pointing up to the ceiling and stuff. And as I looked up, the ceiling came down, and it was like with our bathtub. So as the ceiling came down, it knocked me out cold. And from my perspective, I was in a beautiful space. It was so lovely. It was even more lovely than these incredible playmates that would come and share wise information with me. It was just like being in, well, I guess it must have been heaven, because it felt like love and compassion, and it was just a beautiful space. But it was shared with me that I needed to come back home. I needed to go back home because my mother was not going to get over this. I needed to go back specifically for her. And so I did. The next thing I remembered, I was, waking up. And the funny thing about that was, after that, I was able to really heal things quicker. So I would still have issues with, like, the sunlight. I'd get blisters on my skin if I went outside. I mean, you name it. It was it was funny looking back on it, but it was kind of tragic as a child. Can't eat anything with pepper because your throat swells up and you think you're going to suffocate. It was just little things. And then I started helping other people. I would just notice that a room would be really dark and feel ooky, and so I would shine my light on it like I had been told, and the room would light up. And so that was fine. People, I think, kind of tolerated that, but my grandmother kind of took me aside to teach me how to use this wonderful ability that I just naturally had. But then my mother died, and it was a very horrible, gruesome death. She was actually murdered, and she was my grandmother's only child. And all of a sudden, what I realized was all the people around me were extremely sad. Any light happiness that had been in our home was gone and replaced with, well, you've been in a shattering event. When something like that happens, your life is shattered. It's just, I can even see it from an energy perspective. It's just like the support, the comfort, the feeling that you have in your life, everything is gone. It's just gone. And so I was noticing that with the people around me, but what I really noticed was my grandmother, who had been helping me learn how to use these gifts, all of a sudden was sharing with me that they were not of the light, that there was nothing light about them, and I needed to, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that's a tough experience when it's your natural abilities and someone's telling you to stuff it and not share them. So, yeah, that pain, of course,
yeah,
with you as much as we want to release.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to share about that was, what I noticed was that I still felt this love and I still felt this comfort because I so knew that other world. I so knew that world of the unseen, but the people around me didn't. They lost their faith. They lost their faith in God, I think. But I was 9, so I don't know all that happened. What I do know is that I was not allowed to talk to anybody about anything that I might have known about any of these beautiful angels who were sending their loving and their healing. No one wanted to hear that. No one. They were so overwhelmed by their grief and shock. Because,
Sure.
Back then, I mean, I'm older, we didn't hear about murder. I mean, nobody in our neighborhood or maybe our town, it was just, that was not on the news all the time. It wasn't something that you would expect. It was completely shattering to my whole community. And so I really was shut down because people thought there must be something wrong with me that I didn't, key into this. I mean, I was sad, don't get me wrong. I could still cry about it. I must have been sad. But I believed so much in life after death. And I mean, I could see my mother, so I knew she was alive, but I knew that she wasn't going to walk through the door. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So you're having all this comfort coming from your mom, but others couldn't accept that this was actually occurring for you. And before your mom passed away, did your grandmother have the abilities to connect with the spiritual world? It kind of sounded like she did.
Yes.
Okay.
She did, but you didn't share it. I guess it was an old country sort of talent. Because she, well, they told us she was from the Czechoslovakia, but when we realized, all the way countries changed and merged, she was really from Romania, that area, and it was more accepted back then. That you could, use tarot cards or do tea readings or, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Be sort of a gypsy, I guess. And so she was thrilled at first that I had this gift that was kind of more than that. It was, I could really channel wisdom that I had no reason to know as a real young kid. So they were, and I had, not to toot my own horn, but I had a very high IQ. And so they were training me to really share this wisdom and this light information to help others. Because one of the things that had not worked for me is no one could help me get better physically. I had to kind of do it myself. Any of the medicines they gave me, I was allergic to. I would have a reaction to. So it was almost like when you ask how did I come to be this, I think I was born as a human experiment, But what if we send a person here who can't go outside because her skin's going to blister and she can't eat pepper, which is I swear everything. What will we do then? So, but luckily I also had this connection so that the angels or guides would share with me things. I would do it, and I'd get better. But then when Mom died, we lost kind of all those connections, and I believe it was because my grandmother's grief. It turned into, well, as so many people, when they hit really big times like that, they lose their faith completely in any kind of divine intelligence that's out in the universe, let alone calling it God. She would never have done that after that moment. But she did find a way to come back to believing in the universal source. So it went from, a God-given gift to, well, maybe Maggie can see energy, and so that's when she started me learning on a scientific path, what could that ability be? And that's when I started studying metaphysics, quantum physics, mind, I think they even called it mind control, extrasensory perception, to figure out who I was, what were these gifts, if they didn't come from God, where did they come from, and how can I help people? So that's how I got started.
That's amazing that you have all these abilities. But what happened later? Because later in life, or not later, when you were a young adult, didn't you kind of work in the corporate world and then later graduate back to helping people with energy work? Yeah.
Well, what happened was when I was 10, I've pieced this all together. When I was 10, I did a ritual, and energy rituals are real. So I did this ritual, and I spoke to God, and I said, I can't live like this. I can't have these abilities that I can't explain and be around all these grieving people. I'm not going to be allowed back into my life. So I want them to go away. I'm not gonna work with you. We're not gonna do whatever that was. I'm gonna go be normal. I always laugh when I say that because it's like normal. Okay. But I was gonna go be more normal. Well, in my normal life, I still had a pretty good brain. And I ended up going into corporate America. I'm not even sure how, because I was really good at math and I was really good at music, and someone said, "Oh, you'd be great for systems, writing computer systems." And so they had this process and they wanted to know if they could train somebody. So I went in and I became like right away the project leader. So I did a lot of project leader work, loved it. It was so great because it's logical. If you don't put something into a computer program, the computer's not going to know it. So I loved it. The logic, the unemotional work, it was perfect for somebody who is like who kind of split themselves in half and said, "No, I'm not going to do this other thing." But what happened, Chelsea, is I started answering, so I was facilitating all these beautiful meetings with a lot of business people and taking corporations and helping them merge, so, the best of both companies. And I started answering questions nobody was asking in the meetings I was facilitating. As if I had heard a question, I'd repeat, "What a great question," and then we'd start to do an answer, And then people were like, "Maggie, I don't think anybody asked that question." And then somebody would go, "I was thinking of it, though." So it wasn't too scary then for anyone, although I was not quite understanding what was happening. And then I was traveling a lot, and I started to see all these beautiful, beautiful purple beings, wonderful little energetic beings with me, and they are the Palladiums. They usually come in groups anyway. So they started working with me again, and all of a sudden I had a dream that reminded me when I'd said I'm not going to do this, whatever it was we were coming back to do, we're not, all bets are off, Mom died, I'm not doing it. But I guess I had said in there, but I promise that I will come back to it later, after I've had a chance to have my children and have this normal life. And so what happened was I started to really open up and talk to people. And I have a friend of mine who had been reading the book Life Between Lives by Dr. Newton, Michael Newton, I think it is.
Sure.
And she said, "Maggie, you've got to read this. This is what you've been sharing with us about the afterlife." And what he did is, he's a psychiatrist who wasn't into spirits, wasn't into any of that. He had decided he was going to do some past life regressions with people because his friend, I forgot his name now, but anyway, he had heard that they were getting some really good healing from that. But what he noticed was he was taking them someplace else. I mean, he did not know where he was taking them, but their stories were all lining up. So after thousands of these regressions, he realized he was taking them to the afterlife, to the spiritual realm. And so when she handed me this book, it was like, oh my gosh, I would read it and go, this is true. Well, that's not quite like that. Oh, this works over here, and it was like coming home. And then I woke up, as they say. It was like, oh my God, what did I agree to do? And so my job really is to help teach about the soul, teach about the spiritual realm, help people get in contact with that greater part of themselves so that they will feel a sense of comfort, so that they will know that life lives on, love lives on, that this is just a part of their soul's experience, this life. And you know, Chelsea, if you really think of it that way, it kind of frees you up a little bit. If you think this is all there is, this is your only life, this is the only moment you have in time, I think it gives you a sense of franticness, that knowing that there's life after death, knowing that there's more to who you are than what you've been taught, I don't know, it's very comforting for me. So that's what I want to share.
And how, can you explain a little your, definition of the soul and the spirit, and maybe tell us a little how we can connect to our soul? And for the listeners, I've been through this process with Maggie, and it's amazing, the healing that you have, the information that comes to you. It's like a whole new world, and I guess it is, because you are connecting to a different world. So yeah, maybe if you could explain a little to people who aren't familiar with these concepts, that would be awesome.
Well, thank you for reminding me. That would be a good thing to do. From my perspective and understanding, we have a spirit, which most of us understand we're spiritual beings, and that spirit is a part of the greater you, the overall soul of your being. And your soul is on a vibrational level within the level of all that is, the universal source, or God. So from your soul's perspective, you have the information of all of the different lifetimes that you have experienced. You have the information for all of the potential of your life, and you can experience things on that level. But the spirit is a part of that beautiful vibration that comes to be here and animate the body, and creates, like Chelsea. Chelsea's soul is up in the Akasha, or in heaven, but a part of it, her spirit, is here with you, and the spirit and the body created this lifetime, which is Chelsea. Now, some people also understand it as, in the consciousness, you have three levels. The consciousness, the awareness that we have talking to each other, we call that our consciousness. So we're awake. Hopefully we'll both be understanding the same thing. And that's our consciousness. Our subconscious is that part that some people feel is the conditioned self, the shadow side of us. But what it really is just a conglomeration of all the beliefs and thoughts that we have collected over our life. And so if you can imagine, when you're a little kid, if somebody says to you, you're listening to a very dangerous energy, well, you're going to take that and absorb that and go, oh, this person knows. This is an authority, so I'm dangerous. I shouldn't say anything. So that gets filed away in your subconscious, where you have this part of you that's trying to keep you safe. The part of me that would say, oh, you can't go out and talk about that because then you're not safe. And then you have your higher consciousness, that part where we say, go tap into your higher wisdom. When you breathe and you meditate and you calm yourself and you bring that beautiful vibration of just peace and calming to you, that's going towards your soul. That's bringing your higher consciousness or your source and connecting up to your soul. So that's how I see it, is there is this greater part of you that's a part of all that is, because we are all connected vibrationally, and anything that happens to me has a rippling effect onto others, and anything that happens to others has a rippling effect onto me. But I can tap into my soul's wisdom, my higher consciousness, and feel a sense of comfort and get answers for me, Maggie, what should I be doing? How can I move forward? And I would also like to say that no one else can really do that for you. It's a skill that we all could learn, though, and it's very easy once you have felt that vibration of being in the all that is, in the love and compassion of the universal source or God. Did that explain it?
Yeah, and can you kind of explain what you mean, like, by like vibrations,
Okay.
like a layman's definition of how that works?
Well, vibration, from a scientific point of view, everything is a vibration. Everything. Even the chair that you're sitting in is really an atom. It's a vibration. It's a living thing. And we as humans have all agreed to certain things. So we've agreed that we have solid bodies. We've agreed to that. But really, on a quantum physics level, we're a vibration. And vibrations, we don't, or an energy. I think it's more commonly referred to as an energy. And so we don't see that with our eyes, but you can sense and feel it. So when I say, you go to your higher wisdom and you raise your vibration, you can really feel that within your body. Well, the scientists would also say that you're going into a theta brainwave, and that means they can monitor that with their machines, but what it means from sort of a layman's perspective is you're going into that space where you feel so good that from there you can create health because your body is relaxed. I think by then you're breathing in, so you're bringing the oxygen in, and your body is getting that nourishment from the oxygen. And you're in such a state of relaxation that miracles can occur. You can make changes. So vibration really has to do with a scientific principle.
Yeah, and it's nice that you explain the scientific principles behind it. Perhaps for people who might not believe in this process or understand the process, there's actually science behind it, which is comforting, I guess. And then, can you tell us how we can reach this state? Or first of all, I should say, I know you have a meditation that helps people do this, but why don't we tell everyone how to get that, and then I want to ask you a few more questions about how to do this.
Sure. So what I've done is on my website, which is MaggieChula.com, MaggieChula.com, I have a free workbook and an audio. And what I created is called Get Grounded, 5 Ways to Manifest Your Life Purpose Now, or Your Life and Purpose Now, something like that. And the point of it was, every day you wake up, you really have to help your mind know, okay, this is a new day. I'm here on Earth. I just woke up. So it has 5 different steps. They're really simple. One is drink water first thing in the morning. Well, that makes some sense. Your body is like 80% water, maybe it's 70, but it's a large percentage. So your body needs that water. but what I'm most happy to have in there is the third step is a companion guided audio that's only 9 minutes long. But what it does is help people learn how to connect up to their higher wisdom, to their soul wisdom, just by breathing. So when you breathe in this beautiful energy, and when you breathe out, you learn to release any of your fears, let go of any worries or concerns. But what you're doing mentally is learning how to associate breathing with the healing processes of bringing air into your body. So I'm helping you establish that link within your mind. And what we also know is if someone does something 21 days in a row, it becomes a new pattern for them. It becomes a new habit. So if you were to listen to this guided visualization, which only takes 9 minutes, it will help you establish that you are an energy, that you are connected up to your higher wisdom. You're also connected into the heart of the earth, which is important because as you connect up to who you are in the spiritual realm as a spirit or a soul, then people tend to get a little out of body. They like it up there. They don't necessarily want to come back. I have that issue sometimes, but no, we need to come back. So it helps you ground in the earth also with the intent that you'll bring more of your soul vibration, your soul energy with you and help you throughout your day. Now, another thing it does is help build the connection, this column of light, and what that does is help you build a protective energy around you. Because as we're working with the Akasha, as you're working with your soul, you're going to become more sensitive to other people's emotions and other people's feelings because you're tapping into the part of you that knows you're connected to all that is. So you're going to really begin to feel that and be able to express that, and it brings a sense of love and compassion into your life. So you want to also build those boundaries, those energetic, this is where I am, this is where my energy is, so that anyone who comes in contact with you, Chelsea, whether it's on the phone or whether it's physically, can get a sense of peace and calming because you've calmed now, you've cleared the energy, you've set the intention, whereas so many of us, when you're like running into Target and stuff, you can see people, they're frantic. Maybe they're behind schedule with things. They're just, not in a good mood. And we can pick up on that. Then all of a sudden we might not be in a good mood or your husband's having a bad day. But if you can remind yourself, no, this is me. This is my energy. I feel good today. It really has a healing effect. So that's my free workbook and audio is how to keep yourself grounded while also connecting up and learning about yourself as a soul being.
Can you tell us the other steps? Like you said, there's 5 steps, or is that too many?
Well, no, the first one is the water, so that's easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, you just need to drink it within an hour of waking up. Drink 16 ounces of water. It's amazing. It's great if you could do it like within 15 minutes, but, the second step, I don't have it up here. I'm trying to think of what it was.
I know one of them is how you do the left-right exercise.
Yes, and that's probably it because now exercising and it's simple. It can be like did you ever do the hula hoop? You're sort of twisting yourself or touch your toes or something like that. When you do that, when you cross over your right to your left side, so like taking your right hand and crossing it over your left side and and twisting, what you're doing is you're helping your energy get all nicely mixed up so that you're going to use both sides of your brain. because a lot of us, another thing we do is we can be really good at some things, but somehow our thoughts get all twisted up together, and you might just be very logical today, but you're certainly not working with your emotions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where some people are more left-brained, some are more right-brained, the creatives being more right-brained.
Right.
And then how long should you do that? Just for a couple minutes?
You just have to do that for a couple minutes, and the real reason is so that you get yourself into that rhythm, being able to get both sides of your brain going. There's a couple other exercises in there that are very simple to do, but basically it has to do getting both sides of your body going together. So then you do the connecting up. So let's say, so now you're ready. Then you do the guided visualization and you connect up. Well, one of the things that's really good to do is to set your intention for the day. So you do this and you connect it up, and now I can promise you, your angelic friends who are with you, we all have them, they're listening. So you set your intention for the day. So today I set the intention that I'm going to be on this call with you, and I was going to be clear and be easily understood. But what I also said was I asked my angels, now please help me so that we don't have any electrical interferences, so that we don't drop a line, so we didn't have any of those glitches. So I gave them things to do. And I know that they help me. So that's setting the intention for the day. Make sense?
Yeah, so your intention can be something little, something big, whatever you want.
Yeah, it can be I need some new clients to come into my 9-week spiritual development session. And,
Sure.
And then all of a sudden I'll hear from somebody I haven't heard from. So it can really be just about anything. That's one of, I think, the great points about it. So
and what do you think is a good intention for someone who's in the grieving process? Granted, I know everyone can set their own, but maybe something like I choose to see joy today, or I choose to see gratitude today.
And those are good ones. Or you can set the intention that you will find a sign from your loved one that they're still with you. So
yeah, that's an awesome one, because I think everyone would love to see that.
And I've had people that I've worked with who then go out on walks, and this one woman, she really loves birds. So she started seeing birds everywhere. I mean, birds, lots of birds. And then she saw a cardinal, which was her husband's favorite. And then she found 5 feathers. So all of these were very, very, very worthwhile to her.
Yeah, that's really neat. And plus, I'm sure she got that little feeling of intuition or whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, this is from my husband, that little feeling of knowing.
It can be a song. You turn on the radio and all of a sudden your song is on there, and you were just wishing that you could have something from him. It can be the little things. But that's why I created that, the course is I realized I can help people connect up. And many of us do connect up. The part that's a little trickier is, how do we interpret the language? How do we know that this is coming from someplace else? Right? I mean, so what? I see a white feather on the ground. Mm-hmm. Well, but part of that is also learning to see with different eyes. So this white feather on the ground, you pick it up and you start to think about your loved one. It's like, oh, Grandma would have loved this feather. Well, right there's a connection. You're thinking of them, they're thinking of you. So it's just learning to see it from a different angle. And I know that that grief is one of the most difficult things to really go through because we're so sad to not have them with us. But that's sadness, that sort of depressive energy, that sadness is now being shared with them. And from their perspective, they're the ones who've been released. They're the ones who can now look with love and compassion and see what they did, what they maybe didn't do, what they would like to do. And they're still tied to us because we're still thinking of them. And they will be there for us as long as we need them. And even when we get to the point where we can allow ourselves to feel better when we think about our loved ones, that doesn't mean that that connection is gone. They're going to be there when you cross over, when it's your time, because they're just as alive as we are. As a matter of fact, when I've helped some people as a psychic medium and tuned into their loved ones for them, some of the funniest things I get is, especially the people who really don't believe in an afterlife, it's hard for them. It's hard for them because they're like, I'm alive. It's like, what am I doing here? And so they
like I see what you mean. The departed person. Yeah.
They need a little more processing. Actually,
sure.
One person that I said, this is funny, but I'm getting the impression that they're kind of cloistering this person so that they're not ready to see all the beauty of the afterlife or the other people who are here. And I said, it kind of reminds me of this old joke where they were saying, they're leading somebody around the afterlife, and they're going, but shh, don't say anything because he's Catholic and he thinks he's the only one here. And I was saying this to this group of people, and they just laughed. And I said, what? And they go, he was a priest.
Oh.
This person I was talking to who just wasn't ready to see some of the things that were happening.
Oh, sure, like a different belief system.
Because he did have very strong beliefs. He did. But his beliefs were kind of rigid along what was going to happen, who could be there. I guess he did, believe in, purgatory, which, I don't know. I'm not even sure what that's supposed to be. I think that's where the ghosts are.
So, after we set our intention for the day.
Yes, sorry.
And what's the next step?
Oh, okay. Then the next step is affirmations. So that's helping build yourself up. And affirmations work the best when you can really engage yourself in it. So like you can bring all of yourself into it. I think some of the good ones that Louise Hayes has in her book that I started to use is that, she shares that you look in the mirror and you build yourself up. I'm a great person and I'm helping others as I go through the day. I can't think of one right now. Do you have a favorite affirmation?
Well,
No.
I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. Yeah, now I'm going blank. I usually say the I am statements, like to train my brain to agree with me. Because sometimes.
Right. Well, and that's what affirmations are. It's to remind your brain how you want to work. Well, my favorite is, I am a being of light, and only light shall come to me. I've been using that since I was little because I was so aware of, all this darkness and sadness and, to me it kind of looks like smoke. So I was so aware of this that I was like, I'm a being of light and only light shall come to me. And in my mind, as soon as I say that, I can see like sun shining down on me. Most of the time when I'm in session with someone and I say that, actually it's funny, the sun shines. It comes out of nowhere and there's sun because I believe it so much. Or when I'm taking a shower and I'm like cleansing my energy so that I'm this light, vibrant being. So, yeah. But you use it to help give your mind something to think about rather than I'm sad and I'm lonely. I'm sad and I'm lonely. Okay, well, but can you be something else? Like how about I'm happy to connect with others today. Today I will look into someone's eyes and see the divine in them. So it's
that's so nice. Like what a difference that would make you feel during your day.
Yeah, so that's the point, is just to the mind is so powerful that we need to help it so that when you lose someone, and it can be overwhelming, it is. I've been there several times. The one thing I also wanted to state is it's important to grieve. It is important. It's important to cry. But when you get to that space, at least I do, where I cry so much that I'm just kind of numb, there's nothing left, I've cried, at that moment in that space, I can feel the angels around me, just holding that space for me. And it's like they're saying, are you done? Are you done? Can you be happy now?
Kind of like you're surrendering, correct? Like that's
Yeah. Like you're surrendering and saying, okay, all right, help me through this so that I can see the beauty in the life of this person, how much love I had, how much I enjoyed being with them. And then you slowly start to do that. You remember the good things. You remember how much fun you had. And you can do it in a way where, yeah, that's right, that was fun. Instead of, yes, I had fun then and I can't have fun any longer. So it's a difference. It's a difference in our thoughts. It's a difference in our energy and in how we deal with things.
And plus, too, I know before you've talked about, you can ask your loved ones for help, like how do I release my grief? What do I need to do to move forward out of my grief? What do you want from me? Of course you want all happiness for me. So, what are some of your thoughts on perhaps how to seek that additional help, let's say, from the heavenly realms?
Well, I have a process that I work with on my own. One of the things that helps is to put it into a question. When you put it into a question, you're really leaving it open because we don't know all the ways that we can be helped. So if you state, I want help and I want help this way, that's limiting. Instead, if you say, help me to move on, what would it take for me to be able to feel good again? What would you really want from me to help me honor your life? Something like that. I'm afraid to go on without you. How can I do that and still know that you'll always be with me? But then the second step is to be in a state of silence, to go up there into that world and to, go ahead, use your imagination. Pretend you can hear them. Because you're tapping into the truth. And they're probably sharing with you, oh, I'm so glad that you can remember all the love that we shared with each other. I'm so glad that you can remember that I loved you. I'm so glad that you want to be with me, but I'm happy to see you moving forward because we'll be together, just not now. So one of the things that helps is to breathe, okay? Always that's going to help. Another thing is if you have real trouble releasing this grief, picture this person in your mind. Either have his pictures around you, picture the person in your mind. It could be that there are unsaid things. It might be that they left and your life wasn't resolved together. You didn't have a happy life. You're very angry at them. I've had people come to me because their loved one, their partner, committed suicide, and they're having a real hard time with that. And so these processes help them, because suicide means that person was so sad they couldn't see another way out. It is not a reflection on the people who are left behind. Other than if we start to open up and see that we're connected, and you see that there's somebody who's very sad, reach out to them. Just be there. You don't even have to say much, but be in their presence. Let them know that you're there for them. So if you have someone that you're having trouble releasing or getting over, I say have that picture of them in front of you, or bring them to your thoughts and feel them with you. Allow yourself then to open up and share what you want to say. Pretend they're sitting right in front of you and you get to say things to them. You get to talk to them and dialogue with them. And then be still and quiet and imagine what they are saying back to you. What are they saying? And just doing that helps both of you, because it's my knowing that they are there with you and they are trying to share with you information. But primarily what they want to share is love exists. We are connected to everything and everyone, and our actions have an effect on another person. So treat yourself with love and respect, and you'll be able to treat others with love and respect. It can be that simple.
And then I know we're getting to the end of our time, but just one question. When we're talking about releasing the pain, the grief, but not, of course, releasing that love, because you can continue your dialogue with your person who's up in heaven now.
Yes. Yes. Well, not releasing. Did I say releasing the love? I meant releasing the grief.
Oh, because, right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Release the pain, but the person.
Release the pain. Because you know what? You're the one who's in pain. They're not. They get to see their life now from a higher perspective. If they've caused pain to others, they'll get to review that with compassion and with love, see how their actions influenced another, see what they did and how they could have done something differently. And that's why when you tune into them after they've had a chance to really process their death, their messages are overwhelmingly about love, about connection. So
I think that provides comfort to us, just knowing that your loved one is okay, because that seems to be like the number one question, or high on the list, that people have when someone passes away. Are they okay? Where are they? And it's just you want to know your person's okay.
Yeah.
So you're giving reassurance that they are simply from your abilities to connect to the spiritual realm more easily than the rest of us.
Right. And it is comforting. It is comforting to go see a psychic medium, to go see somebody who can do that for you. But it's also comforting to be able to do it for yourself.
Yeah, and that's what I like about your work too, Maggie, that you can help people learn some basic technique skills, some that you even shared with us today, that you can do some of this yourself. And I'm sure there's a lot of skeptics who, of course, don't believe in psychics, mediums, whatever you want to say.
Right.
But I would just encourage listeners who this is new for, give it a try. Go once, see what happens. Because what happened to me right around when like about 10 years after my mom passed away, I was having my son, and I went to a hypnobirth person.
Yeah.
But anyhow, this person also was a medium, and I didn't know that. She didn't really advertise it, let's say. And so just by coincidence, divine intervention, I hooked up with this healthcare practitioner who made the biggest impact on my grief healing and actually has led me to my work today to help people use a spiritual component to heal grief. Had I not met Trish Poole, and she's actually one of our speakers as well, I hate to think where I'd be in my grief process because, I got back to normal, your new normal, but still there was always that sadness.
Yeah.
So she was really able to help me break through that to see, wow, this connection is here. So, yeah, it was just out of all the experiences I've had of learning how to feel better, that was the number one thing that helped me. So that's why that's why I encourage listeners who have not tried a medium such as Maggie or Trish, who will be on, or who's on another one of our calls. You'll simply be amazed by the healing power that you'll feel knowing that, wow, this connection does live on. Because in the past, I had felt like little connections. I'm like, oh, that feels like my mom, but
yeah.
I'm crazy. It's not my mom. My mom's dead. So yeah, it was so anyhow, that's my encouragement for the day, my grief healing tip, because I really think it makes a difference. And of course, I think that because that's what we're doing in all our work is infusing that spiritual component into the grief healing experience.
Yes. Good. And that's, I think, very needed. When people do understand that they have more of themselves that exists beyond their physical realm, beyond their body and who they are, that they really can connect up to that soul portion of themselves, I think that will help too. But to go to somebody who can tap in to your loved one who's crossed away, that's huge. Because then they know they're still alive.
Uh-huh.
In a way.
Yeah, it just opens a whole world to you of spirit. Like how you're saying, well, you can actually connect with your soul. I hadn't even gone that far yet in my teachings, learnings. So it just opens this whole new world to you that I think the typical person who loses someone, you don't know it exists. So I just feel that I was very lucky, fortunate that I was open to it. And, of course, I'm sure it was divine intervention. So that's why I'm hoping everyone can at least open their thought process to it. And also, Maggie, just one last question. What are some books that you recommend for people? Because perhaps people are like, I don't want to do that. But what are some good books to maybe open?
Well, I think one, if you're at all interested in the spiritual realm, would be Life Between Lives. It's called Life Between Lives by Dr. Newton. And the reason is because he took people who were in pain, who had something going on in their life, and they just couldn't get through it. He was a psychiatrist. He was not looking for the spiritual realm. He was looking to help his people heal. And it is real people who've been taken through hypnosis to the spiritual realm. It's beautiful. He's got 2 of them out. Marianne Williams is just very helpful. She works with teaching a Course in Miracles, so she's very good too. And I personally love Doreen Virtue because she works openly with the angels, and everything she has is just so affirming. So
and one other person I would suggest is Brian Weiss. He has done a lot with past life regression, and I'm sure you're probably familiar.
He's the one I couldn't remember. Yes, he's the one. Dr. Newton was trying to follow his because they were colleagues. So he was trying to follow his process to take people to a past life, which he didn't even believe in that. And he ended up taking them to the spiritual realm. It's really cool. But yeah, Brian Weiss. I think I have all of his books. I probably do.
Yeah, and that is what everyone. Yeah, I think I do too. It's Brian, and his last name is Weiss, which is Weiss. So any of his books, like I think even some of his more original books are probably nice to read because they're shorter and really will give you something to think about. And last thing, you were going to give like 3 lucky winners something. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes. The first 3 people to contact me after listening to this podcast will get a heart healing guided meditation. I channeled this from the Archangel Raphael, and it has helped so many people. It'll start to help you open up the healing process on your heart. I do have it also listed on my website as a product. So that was MaggieChula.com, and it's Heart Healing with Raphael. It's beautiful. It's 13 minutes long, and it got channeled to me when I needed it.
And then to have a chance to win, people should just email you at the first 3 people. It's just Maggie at MaggieChula.com.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So hopefully we'll have 3 lucky winners emailing you right now. Yeah, and thanks again, Maggie, for your time and all your wisdom today. It's greatly appreciated. And I encourage you to check out Maggie's website to learn more about her services because, like I said, I work with her personally, and it's been very, very helpful, to say the least. And thanks again, Maggie.
Thank you, Chelsea.